Many of us wake up in the morning and our brain is always already running. So we go throughout our day, our morning, our evening, just basically on autopilot. So many parts of our daily life occupy our brain that we go about our business. We drive. We know what the landscape looks like. We're watching traffic in front of us, getting the kids to school. What am I going to make for dinner? How are my finances? And am I going to get to work on time? But every once in a while, something gets into the peripheral of your vision that is not supposed to be there. You've driven down this road many of times. You've walked this path, and it just doesn't belong. And then it leaves you wondering, did I really see what I saw? And then all of a sudden, it conflicts in your brain. You're trying to rationalize because it's not of your realm. So, do you keep it quiet? Do you tell other people? Do you just let it pass and go on with your daily life? Well, tonight we're going to talk about Bigfoot, Sasquatch, Yowie, the Grassman, Skunk Ape, goes by many of names. So here we go.
What do you see when you're in the dark?
Welcome to Buried Stories. I'm Jeff Mercurio. With me tonight, Wendell Brown. Wendell, how are you, buddy?
I'm super, Jeff. We were excited about this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is one we've been wanting to talk about, and we have a special guest tonight. But we're after missing last week, uh, I don't know about you, but I'm just glad to be back at it.
You ain't
But
kidding.
but tonight our special guest is Patti Crafton, and Patti has a Bigfoot sighting story. And since even had the inkling of the opportunity to talk to Patti, you and I have been on cloud nine just trying to coordinate it. So I'll introduce Patti. Patti, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for being here. And we are really interested in hearing your story. So you can start from wherever you want to, but please tell us about your Bigfoot sighting and a little bit about yourself, if you will, before you go into the Bigfoot sighting.
Okay, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. So, I'm Patti. I grew up in South Central Indiana, kind of southeastern Indiana, outside of Indianapolis, half hour, 45 minutes. Pretty much was raised there, grew up there, I met my husband, lived on a farm, had children. Actually, I had a child when I married him, so she's quite a bit older than my other two. So we lived on a farm and everything was great. Lived on a farm from 91 through 97. And so about 1995, fall of 1995, I was driving the children, the two youngest ones, to the babysitter. The oldest one, she was a senior. So there's almost 11 years between the first and the second. So the oldest one, had her own car. She was going to school, and I was taking the two younger boys to the babysitter. We lived out in the country. There were 5 houses on our road, which was 3.5 miles long, surrounded by cornfields, just out in the middle of nowhere, basically. So I was going to work, and I dropped the children off at the babysitter, and then just driving down the road, listening to some music and not really paying attention. And I turned on a road that I normally wouldn't turn on. I mean, I knew the road. I just normally wouldn't go that way to head over to go to the main road to go to work. As I turned this road, it went down a little hill, and then it comes up and crests on a bridge. And as I crested that bridge, let me back up a little bit. It was about 6:30 a.m. in October, 95, and the sun was out. It was a beautiful morning. And as I crested this bridge, something caught my eye on the left side. Now, on the left side is this huge cornfield, and it had a grassy area, maybe 20, 30 foot wide before it hit the creek. So this bridge went over a creek, and it was called Sugar Creek. So we went over the bridge. Excuse me, I went over the bridge, and as I did, something caught my eye, and it just kind of stopped me in my tracks. I slowed down super slow. I got a great look, and it wasn't a person. It was something that was all black or dark brown. Couldn't really tell. Like it could be either or, and it was not shaped like a person. I didn't expect to see anything out there. Like I said, it just caught my eye. The movement caught my eye. So I stopped, looked, and it crossed the cornfield. And the cornfield was harvested, so there were only corn stalks in it, 2, 3 foot high. And it walked through the cornfield, and it walked through the grassy area before it hit the creek, and then it went through the creek. It ducked in the trees. There were still some leaves on the trees; they weren't completely there, um, and it just ducked in the creek. And I sat there for several seconds and thought, "What in the world? What did I just see?" I wasn't really, didn't really know what a Bigfoot was. I mean, I wasn't into that kind of things. I had kids to raise, and I had seen it before on a magazine when I was younger. My parents had a magazine that had the Patty on it. I didn't think really much about it. It was interesting. I think I was probably 10 or 11 when I saw it. Pretty interesting, but I never ever thought about anything like that. So I was just amazed. I just couldn't believe what I saw, and I knew it wasn't a person. I mean, you could just tell, although it wasn't, extremely large like, you hear on certain things, it was very large. I would say it was pushing 7 foot, very barrel looking, very large, dark. I wasn't close enough to see any face aspect, couldn't determine anything like that. I was too far away. Um, I actually went back there a couple years ago. I mean, I live not far from that now, still. But I went out there to judge the distance because I'm a horrible distance judger. And I had my husband go, and he said from the point I saw it, and it was kind of walking towards me. It was angling, I should say. It wasn't really parallel, but it was angling. And he said it was probably about 80 to 100 yards. So wasn't super close, but close enough that I could determine it was not, a man or a woman, a person at that. So that was kind of my sighting. I continued on to work. At that time, I worked in downtown Indianapolis, and I got to work, and I didn't say a word. Didn't tell anybody because I thought they would think I was crazy. So within the next few days, but I pondered on that all day long. I was just like, holy cow, what was that? So the next few days, like I said, my daughter was a senior. She was 18 or pushing 18. And so I told her about it, and she believed me. A few days later, I did tell my husband and my mother, and my husband didn't believe me. Not that he didn't believe me, he just doesn't believe in that kind of things. He didn't think I was lying, but he's like, well, you must have saw something else. And then I told my mom, and that is the only people I told for 27 years. I didn't tell anybody else. I have
Really?
9 brothers and sisters. I didn't tell any of my brothers and sisters. So I told 3 people in 27 years because I just
Wow.
spoke about this 3 years ago. So this fall will be the 30th year actually, and I just started speaking of this about 3 years ago.
Patty, did that day change your life?
It absolutely did. Again, I guess in the back of my brain I thought it was a Bigfoot, but I really didn't know. It was just so shocking and kind of scary, maybe a little bit. But I'm not that I was super afraid because I'm that's pretty far from it. 100 yards is, a football field's pretty far,
Right.
but um, but it was coming closer. It angled over um, to the creek, so I did get to see it a little closer, but I still could not see facial features, nothing like that. Big strides, bulky body, um, hair, not like super long hair, but it looked like thick hair all over it, and it wasn't a person. Not it just wasn't.
So you did go through that wrestling with what you saw for quite a while, correct?
I did. I did. Um, like I said, with only telling 3 people, um, it was quite a while, and it just stuck in my mind every time. Like I said, I still live out this way. I don't think about it as much as I used to, but you got to remember 30 years ago, I grew up just right around the corner from there, and when I would drive by there, I'd be like, "Oh, there's the bridge again, and there's where I saw it."
And you said you were by yourself when you had that sighting, right?
The Bigfoot I saw, I was completely alone, all by myself, on my way to work.
And how did that knowing that you saw, because like you and I talked briefly before we started this, um, if I see something, it doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. If I saw it, I know I saw it. How did that affect your, I guess, your social circle of your
Yeah.
family and your friends?
Well, you've got to remember this was 30 years ago. I'm a lot more outspoken, a lot more bold than I was back then. Back then,
Okay.
I just didn't want to say anything to anybody because I just didn't. Um, Not that I'm super introverted. Like I said, I didn't want them to think there was something wrong with me or I was crazy or I was imagining things. Um, so again, I didn't really say anything to my daughter, my mother, my husband, and nobody else knew. I mean, it was kind of like this big secret. But then after a while, years go by and it fades out of your mind a little bit. And several years went by and it popped back in my mind because I was listening to, at work, I can listen to podcasts, which I've listened to yours. I can't watch it because I can't watch video, but I can listen to stuff. But I was listening to something and I was listening to another Bigfoot show and something jogged my memory. And I was just like, I need to look into this a little bit further because it jogged my memory. So that's kind of what started the whole thing. You go for years and then something just pops back in your mind. And actually, I wasn't even listening to Bigfoot. I was listening to something else. They had a commercial on about another podcast. So I thought, oh, you know what? And it was just a cryptid podcast. It wasn't just about Bigfoot. And I thought, oh, I'm gonna
Right.
check it out. And I heard a couple Bigfoot stories on there, and that's what jogged my memory. I had forgotten it all those years ago. People say that, and you don't know whether to believe it, but that is actually true. People do forget.
Yeah, yeah, you kind of put it out of your mind for a while there. It just you go on with life.
Yes.
So before your sighting, you were not you weren't a believer, didn't follow it, didn't really think
Nope.
about it. Then you
Nope.
saw it.
Nope. Yep.
So after your sighting, was it yes, you are a believer, or still kind of questioning what I saw?
I don't think I really thought about it. I think I just after I we discussed it with the few people that I did share it with. I'm telling you, it just kind of I had children to raise. We lived on a farm. We had animals. I was a farm wife and I had to work and you just go on with life and you just do what you can do. And I was trying to move up in my career at that time and I really didn't. I mean, I think I'm sure I believed in UFOs because that's to me at least back then that was more prevalent. I hadn't heard anything
Right.
about Bigfoot, like, ever, except for Patty. I didn't really watch that many shows or anything like that, so didn't really think about it. I know that sounds like a crazy answer, but life goes on.
Yeah, and I agree with you there. I mean, things happen to you, you keep it internal because you got so much other things going on in your life that you just push it back in your brain for a while until it comes up, and then you meet other people. You could start opening up about it, and they could relate. It's a wonderful thing once you find people you could relate to, and
Yes.
actually open up and talk about it.
Too long it took, 27 years.
Yeah, yeah.
So Patty, tell us a little more. So now that you're more open to talking about it,
Okay,
how's it
so
affected your life, and what are you doing?
okay. I, like I said, I was listening to a podcast, kinda jogged my memory. I sat there and thought about it and thought about it, and then I started to kind of look it up. I was looking at Facebook one day, and it popped up that they were having a talk at a local library, a couple counties over. Um, and I was thought that'd be interesting to go to. But before I committed to going to that, I had a little get together at my house for some family. And like I said, my daughter knew about it. But I hadn't brought it up to her for years, and she hadn't brought it up to me. And I just happened to tell her it was in November, and I go, "Hey," I said, too bad we're having a get together this week. And I said, the Crypticon is this weekend. And she said, what's Crypticon? So I kind of told her about it because been listening to stuff the last few months before I even brought this up to her. And she said, oh, that sounds great. I'd love to go. And and we started talking about Bigfoot. And then she knew my story. And I said, well, do you remember back in 95, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, absolutely. And then my sons, I have two sons. Like I said, the first and the second are 11 years apart. And then the first and the third are 13 years apart. And my two boys were like, what are you talking about? And I had to tell them. And my youngest son said, I'm 32 years old and I never knew my mom was crazy because and he was just kidding me, but he, I hadn't said anything to him. I really probably would have never until, all this jogged my memory and I started listening to things and that type of thing. So that's kind of what started the ball. And so my youngest son, he's a believer. My middle son is not, or my middle child is not. He could care less about anything like that. So I asked my youngest son if he would go to the library talk with me. And it was at, I think it was Morgan County Library. And so we went, and that would have, I believe that was the fall of 2022. And ever since then, that's what I do now. I kind of like well, first let me go back. My son and I went to this talk, and it was put on by the Indiana Bigfoot Research Association, a great group of people. Quite a few turnout. There was probably 50, 60 people there at the local library. Because I kind of felt odd, because I don't know, I just did. And but we had a good time and met some nice people, and I joined that group. And I'm still with them to this day. We have campouts, and we're putting on our second annual Indiana Bigfoot Research Organization Conference, and that is this month and this weekend, the 26th and 27th. So I'm a party to that with helping organize and that kind of thing. So
Where is that at on the 27th? I saw the 27th, the ad for it. Where is it at?
it is in Nashville, Indiana, outside of Morgan. It's actually Brown County. I don't know if you had ever been that way. I know you said earlier you were from Indiana, so it's in the Brown
Yeah, I
County
know it.
area. Yeah, it's at the Seasons Lodge, which is right at 46 and 135. It's a lodge right there at the conference center.
Where is Monroe County in
Monroe,
Indiana?
it's just south. It's the next county over from Brown County. It's where
That is a county since 1980 with the most Bigfoot sightings, just so
yes,
you
it
know.
is. Yes, it is.
Little fun fact.
Hmm.
Right.
Monroe County. So, well, I think you're a rare breed,
Well, thank you.
and I think you should take pride in it. And it is so. I mean, I'm yearning to see something. Jeff and I talked about paranormal. We talk about UFOs. We talk about Mothman and now Bigfoot, and eventually we'll get into other things. But I'm yearning to see something on my own because I believe it. I'm a very logical kind of thinker.
Right.
So if it's logical to me, then I want to talk about it and hear about it. And so I think, like I said, I think what an honor that you've seen for yourself what just people like me just talk about. And like, yeah, that makes sense. Um, but I think it's so interesting that you actually had a real life experience, and it would have changed my world. Much more than what you put on that it changed your world. Real life has to, life goes on. No, not really. Not really. Not if I see that.
Yeah.
Well, it did it
Time
for
out.
a while.
Everybody look at
Right.
me. I got something to say. Uh, uh, but
Back then,
like I
oh my
said, I
goodness.
think Patty, you are a rare breed. You have, like Jeff said, when we even had the chance of talking to you, he said, Wendell, I've never ever talked to anybody that's seen a Bigfoot, and I'd never heard of anybody. I don't know of anybody. I'm not connected to anybody, and so I think you are a rare breed, and don't discount what you. I mean, that's quite extraordinary what you saw.
Thank you.
To
Thank
me.
you. And after I joined the Indiana Bigfoot Research Organization, they've taught me a lot. I read a lot. As you can tell, there's a ton of books behind me. I go to a lot of conventions. it's just really piqued my interest to learn more. There's so many people out there that have a lot of knowledge, and I like to listen at the conferences to the different speakers. I like to read a lot, and like I said, we have camp outs. I still hike. I don't get to hike as much as I would like. One, I work, and then my son that would I prefer to go with me. I don't want to go by myself, as you know, nor is that safe. But he works a lot, and he's got young children, my grandchildren, so it's a little difficult for me to get out. But I do get out with the group every now and then, and we get to research and learn. And a couple camp outs a year. We've got a camp out coming up in October that's for the members, and that's going to be really. And that's in southern Indiana, which there's a lot of sightings down in that. Which your national forest down at that area.
As far as the way you are now, when you go camping, because you do camp a lot, and just go to places, are you more aware of your surroundings now ever since that happened? Do you really,
Absolutely.
yeah, just kind of just be aware and look around?
Yes, absolutely, which I had never done. I mean, I've camped for years with, the kids, and now it's just my husband and I for years and never paid attention to anything. I mean, you're out there oblivious and you're hiking and I'm watching birds and, having a good time and grilling out, not paying attention to anything could have been out there and I would have never known. And so this really brought my awareness up a lot. Now, so much that I never am without my binoculars or my night vision glasses, I have a lot of little things like that I'll just sit at the campsite, even if I don't get a chance to hike, and just peruse the landscape with my 4K glasses, heat signature
Well,
Yeah.
let me
binoculars.
ask a question to both of you guys, more a generic question. Why do you think hunters don't see these things? Because that's the biggest hurdle for me to get over on the Bigfoot is, gosh, there's hunters everywhere. There's trail cams everywhere. Jeff actually sent me a picture, Patty, this week of a trail cam capturing a Bigfoot. Uh, and but but I'm sure the first thing people go to in October in Indiana, you saw something, it was a hunter. I'm sure that's the first place they go. And but um but I'm but just a question to both of you. Why do you think a hunter hasn't tracked one of these things down yet?
Yeah, if
I'm
you want to go
just
first.
I mean, what's your thoughts on it?
Uh, from my research and my reading and my listening to people's accounts, these things they stay in the back of they stay away from you, but they're always watching you. And it will stalk you, but they don't interact with you. They stay off in a distance away, but you feel their eyes. You feel a sense of something's watching me here, and a lot of the times, if you're a hunter, you're looking for whatever you're hunting.
That's
Again,
true.
your mind's preoccupied on what you're doing there, but something is watching you. That's what
That's
I
true.
get from it.
And
What do
Patty,
you
your
draw
thoughts?
from it when you meet with other people and stuff? And again, with the hunter thing, but when you meet with other people at these conventions and things, what do you hear?
well, one, even without the people from the organization or conventions, there are a lot of hunters that do see them. Um, I listen to. I have a job. I'm thankful that I can sit there and listen to podcasts all day. And that's
Nice,
exactly what I do. So I listen to a lot, and then when I get home, while my husband's watching Fox News, I'm watching YouTube,
Yeah.
and you see it. Not that I'm not a Fox News person too, because I am, but uh, where I see a lot and I hear a lot, and there's a lot of podcasts. Which later on, if you'd like me to give you some, where you can really, really delve into it, there are tons of hunters that see them. And unless you
nice.
go out there and really look for it, these podcasts and um, Facebook groups and stuff like that, you may not be aware of them. I mean, it's very easy to overlook unless you are really delved into it. And I dived hard in 2022. When
Yeah.
this came back to my mind. It's like my husband said, "Is that all you watch? Is that?" And I'm like, "Yeah, all I watch."
Nice,
I'm
Yeah.
listening to
Yeah.
nice,
podcasts while I do dishes.
nice.
I mean, I just,
Was there your daughter, after you told your daughter, was there an
oh, yeah.
instance where she brought up a text that she got from one of her friends that she saw something like this as well?
Yes, and I'm glad you brought that up because that had slipped my mind. So I need to go back to 1995 and 1996 a little bit. So my sighting happened in October of 1995 and in the fall. So in 2022, when all this was brought back to the forefront and my daughter and I were talking about it, and she said, "Oh, Mom, I forgot to tell you." She said, "I got this text from a friend of mine um, about what she saw, and she saw it in 1996." And I go, "What are you talking about?" And this, her friend had actually sent that to her recently, unbeknownst that I was back into this. And my daughter didn't know. She didn't know it till that day that I told her I wanted to go to the Lexington Crypticon. So yes, there was a text, and if you'd like me to read it, I can. Or
Yeah.
yeah,
Sure.
read it. Okay, it's
Yep.
gonna take me a minute. I have to pull this up on my phone. So this is from my daughter's friend, and they were seniors in high school. So I believe this was right after their senior year. So it would have been the probably May or June of 2000, or excuse me, 1996. Okay, so this is from her friend. I used to live in the Lakeview neighborhood, which technically had a New Pal address. It's about a city block south of the county line. Okay, so I'm gonna stop right there. Where she is, where I saw my sighting, I am 1 mile south of where she's talking about where she is right now. 1 mile.
Okay.
Because out in the country, most of or at least where I live in my county, your roads are a 1 mile block. Most all of them out in
Gotcha.
the area. Okay, so it's about a city block south of the county line. During the summer of 1996, shortly after we graduated, I was with one of our classmates driving west on county line. It was during the morning twilight, dark enough to need headlights, but getting light. We came upon a corn patch that had a clearing. He was driving. I was in the passenger seat. Then the headlights hit this thing. I got a real good look at it. It wasn't any animal I had ever seen. It was man-sized, stood on two legs, and seemed to be eating a small animal, a fox, rabbit, cat, or something. It had long fingers and was kind of bent over, holding the animal. Then it looked up, right at me. Its eyes glowed like a cat's eyes, only it had a reddish tint to it. It was terrifying. He floored it and we hightailed it out of there. Neither one of us looked back, and we've only told a few people about it. Who would believe it? And
Wow.
whatever, 6, 7 months after my sighting, and unbeknownst to either one of us, I didn't know this young girl. I didn't know my daughter's name.
Right.
She didn't know me necessarily. She knew my daughter. And it was not brought to the forefront until a couple years before 2022 when she had sent that to my daughter. For some reason, they were talking online, and
Wow.
that just happened to come up. So I thought that was, uh, you were talking
Yes.
about coincidences. That's
Oh
another
yeah. Yeah.
coincidence.
Yeah.
Now, as far as my research went, I was looking up through Indiana, and the reportings might have changed over the years. And
Hmm.
it says that there has been 82 reported sightings in Indiana
Hmm.
since they started taking the reportings. That may have changed because this was in 2020, and the last reported sighting was 9 of 2020 in Washington County. I don't know where Washington
Oh,
County is.
I don't either. I don't, not right off
Right.
the bat.
I believe it's where my wife's from, but go ahead.
All right.
Where's
Well,
that at?
yeah,
Southern Indiana.
I,
yeah,
I figured it was southern. There's way more sightings southern than northern.
yeah. But this person says he heard knocks in the daylight, which you hear the knocks and Bigfoot correlated a lot of
Right.
times, but it was by the Spurgeon Hollow Lake, which there again, there's water, which, Bigfoot's always by a creek or by a bed of water. And then in May 2020 in Brown County, a father and daughter had a sighting at Yellowwood State Forest. So they saw it there. So that's the last reported sightings from Indiana as of the last reporting that I saw. So are you familiar with this Yellowwood State Forest?
Absolutely. I've
Okay.
came there twice this year already.
Oh yeah.
And
Okay.
I was with a group, and one gentleman saw red glowing eyes. excuse me, it was pouring down rain that night, and I retired. And then after that, a gentleman that was with our group had, not only him but several other people. They heard some crashing and some glowing eyes, but I did not get a chance to
Yeah.
see that.
That's the one thing I hear about Bigfoot is these reddish glowing eyes again. That's with a lot of these cryptids, the reddish glowing eyes. And this Bigfoot always seems to be around water.
Yeah,
You
I
know,
think so as well.
like that's his food source or something like that. But the red glowing eyes is the one thing that I hear a lot of. And the knocks and the like the sort of yelps that people hear, yelps
Mhm.
and the throwing of rocks towards
Yeah,
you. Now, I mean, I find the throwing of rocks a little weird, but maybe you go to conventions, maybe you've heard a lot more about that, their
yes.
their personality or what they do.
They say that the rock throwing is to try to get the people out of the area. They want them gone, and sometimes they're pebbles, and sometimes they're really big rocks, like
Yeah,
softball size, or yeah, I've even heard a couple at the conventions and podcasts. They're basketball size, like they'll poke you
golly.
right in the water if they're fishing, because the fishermen see
Well,
them a lot, just as much as hunters do.
all right, I got the big question.
Okay,
Can I ask the big question?
okay,
Because I'm gonna pin you down here, Patty.
all righty.
Because you said you were like 11 or 12 when you saw the picture. You know the picture. We even used it on our intro. I think we're changing our intro this week. But our intro, you even see the Bigfoot walking across the wooded land, right? Have you seen that? You
Yeah,
don't look like a gorilla kind
yep.
of thing. What did you see? Did it look like that?
It
Or
was
did it look like something else?
no.
If you describe it as well as you can, just so anybody that might watch this can get some kind of visual of what you saw.
Okay. It the coloring I would guess would match, which would be a dark brown or almost a black. Um, it was not quite as heavy as Fatty, because she was pretty bulky, but the one I saw was bulky as well. If I had to guess, it would be 6.5 to 7 foot tall. Taller than most people I know, and that stands out right there when you see somebody that's that large. Excuse me. It was very stocky, very heavy. I don't feel it was as heavy as Patty. Long strides, uh, hair that was, you could tell it was hair, but it wasn't like hanging, or wasn't 4 or 5 inch hair hanging, but you could tell almost like a dog's hair, short fur. You could just tell it was furry. Um, a small conical head. I don't know if I know it wasn't perfectly round, or round like most humans. You could tell it was a little off, bulky.
All right.
Um, Saw mainly from the front more than the back, so I can't really describe, the back of him, because he was coming to me at an angle to head to the creek before, he ducked into the creek. But it was in no way. Uh, I doubted myself back then. Um, a little bit like somebody is in a costume or something like that. But it soon became clear in my mind. There's no way. It's 6:30 in the morning. Farmers are out harvesting. There's no way it can be anything but what I saw.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the tricks, the tricks that's played on us, maybe by God, that knowing what you know now, if you would have seen it, knowing what you know now, it has been a totally different story. You
Absolutely.
would have chased it.
Maybe
Yeah.
not too closely.
Yeah, no,
Right.
no. I'm gonna
Right.
bring up a picture because there was a sighting I saw on Fox News website in 2025 at Poplar Bluff, Missouri. This man had a trail cam out that he's had out for quite a while, and it was facing a creek. And I was wondering, now when I bring up this photo, what your take is? This perhaps what you may have seen, or is it nothing like it? Let me bring up the screen here. Like that out in the distance, that creature right there, it pinged on his phone, and he says he showed his wife because he couldn't make out what it was.
In the
But
creek, right, Jeff?
yeah, it's right in the creek, right
Yes.
next to the woods there.
I see that. I can't make it out
Right.
perfectly clear. He looks to be lighter than the one I
Yeah.
saw.
Okay.
Maybe a little thinner, but you can tell by the, let's see, he really does have an odd shaped head,
Yeah.
an odd shaped head and odd shaped shoulders. Um,
Right.
I mean, I probably saw him from that far away, but it looks a
Right.
little different because that one's I'm seeing from the side, and the one I saw was like I said, kind of walking toward me. But I would say it's
Gotcha.
comparable. Comparable.
Yeah, now that gentleman took his brother out there because they tried to find some tracks and stuff, and he had his brother stand in the same place that the Bigfoot was standing, or what he called the Bigfoot was standing.
Right.
And this thing was probably at least, now his brother's 6 foot, and this thing was probably 7.5 foot as compared to his brother standing in that
Oh
picture.
goodness.
Yeah, so I mean, to me, that was a pretty big one, but
Nice.
trying to get a sense because you see so many
Yeah.
things on YouTube and pictures, and you don't know what's doctored. You don't know anymore if you could take
Yeah, it's
anything
hard to believe
with a credible
pictures anymore.
source. Yeah,
With the
yeah,
Yeah, it's
AI, with
hard to
AI
believe.
out. Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, it's hard to believe. All right, you ready for a transition, Jeff?
yeah.
All right, you ready, Patty? We're going to transition to another sighting you had. This isn't this isn't Bigfoot related, but it is UFO related. Tell us about your UFO sighting, because I mean, Jeff and I are starving for stories.
Okay.
So you have another story about a sighting, and I want to hear about that.
Okay. And this happened way before the Bigfoot sighting. This would have been around 1981, 82-ish, maybe somewhere around there. I don't recall the exact date. I do
Okay,
remember it was in the summer. Um,
I was in high school.
so we were driving on 74 West in the county I live in now, which is Shelby County, heading towards. We were pointed, which right directly towards the airport. Basically, that's what 74 West runs into on the other side of Indianapolis. And we were going to the west side of Indianapolis. So we were driving, a friend of mine, and I saw something in the distance, and we were literally 30 miles from our destination, 25, 30 miles. And I saw a light in the sky, but it was stationary. And this was at, like I said, dusk. It was kind of pinkish sky, real pretty sky. And you couldn't miss it. It was just a bright light. And I said, "What is that?" And my friend said, "Oh, it's just an airplane." I'm like, "It hasn't moved. I mean, we're facing the airport from miles away, but I'm like, it hasn't moved at all." And he's like, "No, it's just an airplane." I'm like, "Okay." And I'm watching and I'm watching. And then pretty soon it started zipping. It zipped right and then left, right and then left. And then boom, it was gone. I mean, in one flash, it took off to the side, gone, just completely gone. And I'm like, "Did you see that?" He's like, "Yeah." And he goes, "That's an airplane." I said, "There's no way that's an airplane." And, but whatever. That was his opinion. Didn't think much about it, went about our way. Next morning, get up, get ready for work. And on the news, hundreds of people had seen this. So I wasn't the only one. So that really validated
Wow.
you. So there were calls to the airport because you got to remember that was way before computers. Calls to the airport and calls to the television stations, and everybody was reporting this mysterious light that they had seen zip right, left, and then boom, gone. So that really validated me because I'm like, "See, I told you." I told you this,
Nice,
but I'm like,
nice.
"See, I knew I saw what I saw." You know.
And again, the question, to pin you against the wall, now that you saw that,
Mhm.
is it still to you? Because Jeff and I are kind of graduating to making a decision on a lot of our stories, whether it's believable, need more research, or nah, we don't think so. Uh, but on the UFO sighting for you, is it crystal clear you saw something that wasn't ordinary? Well, obviously you saw something that wasn't ordinary to you. What do you think? Is it something that uh, truly could be in the realm of unexplained, or maybe like your friend said, some kind of playing thing? What is your thought on that now that you've had time to think about it?
I truly believe it was a UFO. I thought it was a UFO back then. And even looking back now, which we have a lot more knowledge, but we didn't have anything very fast in 1981. I mean,
Right. Right.
not like
Right.
the planes we have now and the new discoveries they've had in the last whatever, 35.
What's that do to you though? What's that do to you? What
Um,
I mean, what does that I mean, that's kind of one of the three questions we talked about at the beginning.
yeah.
Are we alone? I mean, are you pretty sure we're not?
Oh, I never thought we were alone. I really haven't. Not that I, like I said, necessarily study Bigfoot or really well done UFOs, but
Mhm.
I mean, that was something I just truly, he saw it, I saw it, hundreds of people had seen that. You couldn't sway me on that. Did I really know what it was? Not necessarily, but back then UFO was just kind of standard. It was UFO.
Right.
You
Right.
didn't
Right.
have a lot of
Oh,
people.
oh, I love it. I love a person with an open mind that's willing to and like I said, I try to come from the logic base because I've never been fortunate enough to witness it, but yeah, there's to me there's no way we're alone. But
No, I agree.
um but to you and have to have that sighting, that's awesome to me.
Yeah, just gonna say the difference in my thinking between when I saw a UFO and was very convicted that, my conviction was I know what I saw to, that was 1981 and fast forward, 15 years or
He
whatever to
lost us.
1995. And I wasn't sure what I saw. I had no idea. I thought what I saw, but I didn't have that conviction like I had with the UFO. I do now about the
Right.
Bigfoot, but I didn't back then.
Yeah. Now, as far as Bigfoot, and you've been to conferences and you take part in putting these conferences together and stuff, where do you think have those Bigfoot has Bigfoot always been around, or do you think they're interdimensional? Where do you think these come from?
Well, it kind of constantly evolved. I think there are some that are really flesh and blood, but I also think some can be interdimensional. A lot of people don't believe that, but not that I've experienced a portal or anything like that. Certainly I haven't. But upon reading and researching, and I do read and research a lot and listen to a lot. Now, you have to be very discerning. You can't believe everybody out there. You kind of find a pattern and you kind of go with that pattern, like, this many people said this and this many people said that. So I think it can be a little of both. I think they are flesh and blood, but I do think there are some that can uh, dim in and out. A lot of people say that as well. Like I said, I've not experienced that, so it's not coming from experience. It's just coming from doing some research, um, that type of thing. But
That was my point earlier, Jeff, and not endorsing the portal theory or interdimensional theory at all, but there's a reason why more people don't see these things in everyday life because people are out there, and and I think that lends some credence to that. Maybe they're just not always there,
yeah,
and but Patty, I was wanting to ask you while we got you, and I apologize if it's off topic, but I'm just similar to. How does your family treat you, knowing your beliefs, knowing
um,
your because they've got to be beliefs after you saw them with your own eyes.
absolutely.
I don't care what anybody says; they've got to be beliefs. And how does your family and friends talk to you about these things, or are there some things you just can't talk to certain people in your family and friend group uh, about?
Well, I'm very open about
I'm
it still.
curious.
Yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
I'm very open about it now, and I'm to the age that I really don't care if you believe me or not. I know what I saw.
Me too.
I wouldn't
Me
have
too.
I didn't say that 30 years ago. I was very worried about what people thought. But I'm at
Yeah,
that
yeah,
point where you can believe me or not. Um, I had a couple family members that they laugh at me. Not to be, no, they're not mean spirit about it. They're just like, no, you just
Right.
whatever. They just
I
don't believe
understand.
in me. But then I have a couple family members that do. So that's wonderful. I have a couple friends at work. I talk about it at work. I have posters at work. And I take the posters at work for the conference so they can, I hang it up here. You guys go here and get your tickets, that type of thing. They know how I am. They've been actually pretty tolerant at work. We have discussions. That's the big thing. Have a discussion about it. If once you discuss it, I mean, you still don't have to believe, but you can discuss it. I'm very firm in my convictions now, but most of the families, like I said, I have a couple that just absolutely refuse to believe that I saw it. But that's okay. That's okay. Like my middle son, my middle son never says anything about it to me. Never, never, never makes fun of me. It's just not a topic that he's willing to discuss. He could care less. He's like, okay, you know. Where the other two children are like, they know they're convinced I saw what I saw, and they're interested, and they like to learn more as well.
And with both of these things, these things you saw, Bigfoot and the UFO, do you believe that did that open your mind to that what we see around us is not everything in the realm here? That uh, how am I saying this? That it goes outside of the realm of possibility. Not everything that we see is what's in front of us, see, smell, touch, hear.
Absolutely. And looking from a religious viewpoint, that is exactly true. There are other realms besides where we are sitting at right now. Biblically speaking, that's and if it's in the Bible, then who's to say, there are there's other things that come through that thin veil, which is
Gotcha.
what I hear a lot and what I read a lot about. So yes,
Yeah.
I believe there's other realms.
Jeff and I mean, that's kind of the essence of what we see. There's more to this world than what we see, and we're true believers of that, and that there's more to this world, you know. And if we can connect a couple dots, then we've achieved what we wanted. Patty, you said you have another UFO story to tell us about, and like I said, we want all stories. We want to hear everything. So if
Okay.
you have something else to add or another story, let us know.
Okay, I do. Several years after the one I saw in 1981, a friend and I were driving back from the county I live in. We were actually heading towards Indianapolis, and we were picking up my daughter um, at the babysitters, which happened to be my aunt and uncle. And it was probably 1 o'clock in the morning, and we're heading down I-74 West again, and we get to the exit that we need to get off on, which is before you get to the Indianapolis area, actually, still in the country. And we pulled off the road and went down the lane. They lived down a farm lane. And as we're going down the lane, we see these flashing lights. And the lights are flashing not necessarily right above my aunt and uncle's home, but it was like behind them in the cornfield. And so we're looking at each other. My girlfriend was driving. I was in the passenger seat. And we're looking, so she stops the car. We roll our windows down. It's in the summer. We had our air on, but we rolled our windows down. We're looking at them. We're like, what is that? This we saw, if I had to guess, 75 yards maybe. And it was a UFO. It had lights all the way around. It was your kind of typical saucer looking. Maybe not exactly. It was a little more flat on the sides, but it had lights rotating on the outside, different colors. I can't tell you which, just different colors. And we stopped that car flat, and we were both like, what in the heck is that? And you couldn't hear anything. It wasn't a helicopter, because at first we thought, well, maybe it's a helicopter or something. Wasn't a helicopter, wasn't anything like that. We sat there for a few minutes, both scared to death. And I mean, literally scared to death. And she said, do you want to keep going up this lane? I said, nope. And she said, I don't either. So I said, I'll pick up my daughter. I'll pick up my daughter tomorrow, because we're not going down this lane, because it's pitch black. They live at the back of this lane, like a quarter of a mile long. And so we left and, went back home. So I fully expected to get up the next morning to watch the news and to see somebody saw something. That didn't happen. It did not
Wow.
happen. Now, this wasn't
Really?
a populated area, but it was enough houses around that somebody should have seen something. And so I go to pick up my daughter. I was by myself then. My friend had stayed back. And so I go to pick up my daughter, and I ask my aunt and uncle, did you guys hear anything last night? Did you see anything? Well, first they're like, you're late. And I said, that's fine. I said, "Well, there was something behind your house, all these lights, and they were flashing and, maybe a couple stories above like where your house would be, but it was behind their home." And I'm like, "Something was in the field behind your house." And Sue and I, which is my friend, her and I saw that. And he's like, "We didn't hear a thing. I'm sure it was nothing. Are you sure you guys weren't drinking?" I'm like, "No, we did go to dinner. We did have a drink, but we weren't drinking." So he
Right.
kind of left it at that. My uncle didn't believe it. My aunt didn't really have an opinion, but I'm still friends with that lady today. In fact, we're good friends, and we still talk about that. He still
Wow.
remembers
Nice.
it exactly as I remember it. Exactly. I just saw her a couple weeks ago. So, yeah,
See,
that
that
Awesome.
was.
changes the world. That changes the world for me.
I'm
If I
telling
see
you,
that, it
I'm
changes the world.
now that I was convicted as well because one, I had another witness. Um, nobody. I really expected to see it on TV, just like I did, several years earlier. Nothing, zero, zilch. Nothing was on TV about, and it was not a plane. It wasn't hovering. It wasn't a helicopter. Something I just never wasn't super huge either. But yeah, and we're still thoroughly convinced we know what it was. Like I said, I was more convinced about the UFO than I've ever been about a Bigfoot back in the day. I mean, I'm a Bigfoot now, but back then, you know, I would have been more convinced I saw that UFO more than I would have a Bigfoot in 95. So that is
That's
honest.
incredible.
It was amazing. I mean, don't get me
Yeah.
wrong. We were, I don't know, 24 years old. We were scared to death. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
well,
Yeah.
that
I
stuff
could see
was
that.
here. Yeah.
Right.
And so now, looking back, it's kind of makes you think because looking, reading stuff now, watching stuff now, and you see, the abductions and cows getting taken, which this was farmland, stuff like that. I'm glad we didn't go down that lane. I mean, I'm not saying something would happen, but looking back, looking at stories now, we could have been, I don't know,
Yeah.
just weird to think about. Just weird to think about.
I've seen and to know that everybody else that even questions it is ignorant.
Hmm.
That's everything. That's cool.
Yeah,
So
that is something I firmly believed in. Truly, her and I both.
I'm surprised nobody else saw it with the lights. Especially your aunt and uncle, the lights in the backyard and stuff like
I
that.
know.
Or,
Now, remember, it was like 1 o'clock in the morning, and they were in bed.
oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah.
But
right.
still, you would think a little bit of the surrounding area, somebody would have seen something. But on the other hand, maybe they didn't. Like I didn't report it. Maybe they didn't report it. I didn't call the news station or the airport, or I didn't do anything like that. So makes
Was
me
it a
think
was it a disc?
it was disc shaped, but where it would be like pointy at a disc on the side, it was more flat. Like it didn't come to a point as a disc on the side. It was more round, rotund, I would say, with the lights flashing around it. Not underneath it, but around the sides of it.
Indiana being a lot of farmland and like corn. There's a lot of corn in Indiana. Have there been any reports of crop circles over the years that you know of?
Not that I'm aware of. Not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
Not that there isn't, but
Right.
not that I'm
Right.
aware of. But
Okay.
you're right. I mean, where I lived on that house or where I was coming when I first saw Bigfoot, we're out in the middle of nowhere. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Patty, are you familiar with Billy Myers?
I don't think so. Billy Myers.
Billy Myers lived in Switzerland, and he was visited by uh, a race called the Palladians, but in UFOs, right? And this was back in the 60s and 70s. And he has pictures of these discs, crystal clear pictures
Oh,
coming
really?
in on his property. And yeah, no fuzzy, no light bulbs, nothing. It was crystal clear.
Gosh.
And Billy Myers, I've researched him for years, and I've always thought there was something to it. He is an eccentric, lived in like a cultish environment. People would come there and live in a commune kind of thing in Switzerland. But anyway, he always said he was visited by the Palladians, and he would tell these stories of what they all said and all this
And
and
it's
that.
Billy Myers.
But his UFO pictures, Billy Myers, and
Myers.
his
And
UFO pictures were pretty extraordinary, right? And it's the kind of thing that you dismiss at the drop of a hat because they were so clear cut that he went in a ride in them. He took pictures from the UFOs of Earth from the UFOs
Why?
and or from the disc, and he took pictures from space in the disc, and he has pictures, and it's the kind of thing that you dismiss because it is just too extraordinary. It is just too real. And I always took it with a grain of salt, but I always thought there was something to Billy Myers. And I really didn't give it much credence because it's 50-50. You know, it's 50-50. I could go with this guy and be totally wrong. And then I could not go with him and be totally, totally wrong. So it's just one of those things out there, the Billy Myers story. But then Jeff and I did some research into Bob Lazar.
Oh,
And
yeah,
you know who Bob
I
Lazar is,
do.
right?
Absolutely.
And Bob Lazar talked about the images of, or no, talked about the craft that he saw at S4. And he did an off-track interview with, you know who Big Daddy Don Garlits is, the drag
The
racer?
drag racer, he actually did a lot in Indiana.
Yeah, well, he's a UFO buff too.
Did not know that.
And he did a interview with Bob Lazar. And in this interview with Don Garlits, Lazar went through this whole interview telling the same story he always tells, the S4. And then he goes off and he says, you know, what highlighted something in his life was that I saw a picture that Billy Myers took. And that was exactly the craft I saw at S4.
Oh,
And
wow.
so they were talking about, you know, the craft wasn't captured, it wasn't found, or it may have been found in an archaeology dig, but he wasn't sure how they obtained it, but he saw a picture of one of Billy Myers' pictures, and he said, "That's the one I saw.
Oh,
That's the
wow.
one I was working on. That's the one I was working on." And it validated everything that Billy Myers had been saying to me, because I'd been researching that for 30 or 40 years, Billy Myers, and his story is so good, you can't believe it. It's hard to believe. It's so good. And something for you to look into. But that's just a side
Yeah.
note, because you talked about the disc and and what you saw. It'd be real interesting for you to look at Billy Myers' pictures. You can find them anywhere on the online.
Okay. I'll
But
have to
it
check.
would be really interesting for you to look at Billy Myers' pictures and to see if that looks like what you saw that night. It'd be interesting.
Oh,
I
yeah.
would be interested to hear.
Okay.
So
I will
there you go.
absolutely look into that. I'm amazed that it was
Yeah.
that, Don Garlic. That amazes me. I had never heard that story. Now I
Yeah.
know I've heard the name because he used to race here out at Claremont on your side of
Yeah.
town.
You can even look up that interview on YouTube, Bob Lazar interview with Don Garlits. You can hear him talk about it.
I'm gonna write that down real quick so I can look at that.
It's what we do. We connect dots, don't we,
Yeah,
Jeff?
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
You have
So,
to. We have to.
hey, awesome. Patti, again, thank you for your time. Thank you for sharing your stories. We really appreciate it. And like I said, we may call you to invite you back
That's fine. Thank you so
or
much for
just
having me.
get
I
more.
appreciate it. Have a
Thank
good
you.
Thank you,
evening.
Patti. Nice meeting you.
Nice meeting you as well. You guys have a good evening.
You as
Jeff, till
well.
next time.
Wendell. Wendell, this one, definitely the Believe file.
I agree. There you go.
Okay. All right.
All right.
Thank you for watching this show, and until next time, leave a comment below. And if you want to reach out to us with a story that you may have, contact us at buriedstory74@gmail.com. And until next time, good evening, everybody.